Um, the other day, look, guys, do you remember? I say it all the time, and I will continue to say it until you guys are sick of me saying it, and then I'm going to keep saying it some more. Life moves at the speed of your relationships. Period. And someone at Britain had posted a post in on Facebook, just in our market, and was just asking, um, like, who are some agents or well, you can share the story. And I happened to get tagged in the post, and then we connected from that post, and then met yesterday for a quick call, an introduction call. So, Britain, can you guys highlight us? I'm not seeing it. It's not showing different for me. For the recording. And Britain Lentz is the area director, regional director, area manager. What's your title?
It's account executive, but it's fluid, right? It's area manager, but I cover
You've got a big
lots of
region.
areas, but I've been in Kansas. Yes.
For
Yes.
Choice Home Warranty.
So I did. I'm for
Yeah, go
Choice
ahead.
Home Warranty. Yes, that's my work role. But I did make a post that I wanted to get to know who people thought were influential in real estate in that industry in the Kansas City area. And Matt was tagged a couple different times. And one of the things we said yesterday is I was actually kind of surprised the names that came up. And Matt was willing to meet with me yesterday, and we talked about business and we talked about life. He did ask me to share today, so I was going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm challenged this year to be a storyteller, and so you're going to hear a lot of things today. And usually when I speak, which makes it really uncomfortable, is that there's a lot of eyes that are like deer in headlights. So if you have questions of things that happen, I'd really like you to ask me, because it's a fast unrolling because we have a little bit of time. So I'm Britain Lentz. I work with Choice Home Warranty. I live in Missouri, so I'm not that far away from you. I live in St. Louis. I'm widowed. I have 2 kids. I have kind of like fallen into this real estate industry in a serendipitous kind of way. So when you hear my story, it is one of the title that Matt had is the gift of struggle, right? But I'm kind of going to tell you like who I am and where I'm from, and then we'll kind of go that way.
Yeah.
So I'm a Tennessee girl. I grew up in a very small town, like think soybeans and cotton fields. It's about 40 minutes outside of Memphis. I grew up there. My parents were from there. My dad was in the real estate industry in the 70s. My mom was the first elected official in our small town. I had strong figures growing up, but they were also divorced. So I grew up in a divorced family. I went to college at a small college in Memphis called Rhodes College. And then from there, I moved out west. I moved to Wyoming. That's where I met who I would marry. We did an escapade in South America, and I taught English, and then we came back and settled because we were completely broke in St. Louis, Missouri. So I have been here since 2009. We started a family, and then 2014 was a really it was a big year. So I learned that I was pregnant on January 1st. My dad passed away in April of 2014. My husband was in an accident July 1st of 2014, and my son was born in September of that year. So when I say my dad passed, Adam was in an accident. He was in a coma for 2 years, and he passed away from his injuries later. And then my son came into the world. So like very hard, sad moments, lots of grief, and then very happy, joyous, bringing my son into the world. He was actually born in a car. So there is that. If I could tell you something that stood out about this is that, I mean, we're 10 years later. We're over 10 years later. We're in 2025 now. And the song that always goes through my head is the Elton John song that like, I'm still standing. And if I could tell you to kind of hold on to that, that's one thing through all this, that there will be trials, and there will be things that continue to happen all along that. Later in 2019, so just keep this in mind, I've been single. I never remarried. I'm still single. I kind of dipped my toe in dating, but you guys know how that is.
So real
Yes.
quick before you move further from that, like I don't want to gloss over that stretch of time because that's those events for most people are enough to completely break someone for good.
Oh, yes.
How did you manage and what kind of support system did you had to manage your mindset and what was that like for you? Like if you can just slow us down a little bit and walk us through like okay, like grief and then celebration and then tragedy and like how did you navigate the peaks and the valleys then?
So I mean, I will tell you, I had to tether myself to something greater than myself. So I know religion can be kind of isolating in some ways, but I foundationally needed to know that there was something greater. I don't necessarily believe that things happen for a reason, but I do believe that something stronger than me was holding me up. And there are promises in that that kept me believing that, like, this is, we're going to get through this.
Mm.
And that sort of um, supernatural strength comes up over and over to me again. So when that happens, like, there are obviously things that you have to do. Exercise was a big thing for me during that time, making sure that I move my body and be able to kind of process things in the way that I need to. And that continued to happen all through that time. It's still happening. And then sort of small things where you just do it in increments, where sometimes it's a task that you just say, this is what I need to do today. This is the first task. And then you plan the second task. So getting very basic of, like, I just can't lay in bed today. I just have to do something. And my kids needed their mom. My daughter was 3 and my son was just born. And they still needed me, and, like, life was still moving while this part was kind of on pause. So not compartmentalizing is the wrong word, but I do think that sometimes I had to pause and kind of shelf what was happening here that was so hard, and really just focus on, I'm raising kids and I have to fill my bucket up first before I can kind of pour out to them.
Thanks for sharing that. So you
Yes,
were
of
moving forward.
course.
You mentioned that now we're a few years ahead.
We are. So in 2019, I was going on a date and I was downtown in St. Louis, and I was leaving this date. It was late. I was going home. I was alone, and a man kidnapped and assaulted me in downtown St. Louis. And he got in my car and he told me to drive. And I was pistol whipped. I was kidnapped and I was very hurt after the event, but I beat him up, and he got out of my car and he basically he ran away. But the police found him 11 hours later with some technology that was reading license plates. And so I had to do the lineup, I had to do all the things. And not too much to focus on him, but he was an electrician. He was not looking for my money. And he ruined his life. He made a decision that kind of changed the trajectory for a lot of things for me too. So I could have said I was doing everything right. I was walking with my keys out, like I was, thinking that I was doing all the right things as a woman alone, but things still happen. And I told you yesterday, Matt, that it can happen to anyone. And I happen to be someone who's standing here alive. But that's not the case for everyone. Like, we hear stories like that all the time. In Memphis, if you guys remember Eliza, she was running. She was just doing something that she liked to do. So I encourage you to definitely have a plan, protect yourself in some way. Like, I did not have anything, and it probably could have escalated if I did, because he did have a gun. He was in my space, and I had to process a lot of that same grief as well, of how I trust people again and how I go out in public and how I interact with the world. It definitely was one way before, and then it was a different way after.
So you had kind of made a decision after that though to so like we talked about that reel that I posted yesterday and the difference between the villain and the hero and both of them experience the same tragedy and yet the villain then vows to make the world pay for what they felt and the hero vows to save the world from feeling what they felt. And then
100%.
you decided to take the hero's journey. And then
I did.
what did you do after that?
Well, this is kind of the intersection is so I was hired at Choice 4 months later. So I began at Choice in May, and I knew a little bit, like my best friend's a realtor. I kind of had this idea and had heard things that had happened, but it kind of clicked for me initially that like women, people in this scenario, I have spoken at a couple different things. And again, it can be very vulnerable. But I do want to help people know that you do have to keep it very, you have to be very aware in all situations. You can't imagine that it won't happen to you because it can happen to you. It can happen to anyone.
So, so fast forward to kind of like, that was, when was that? 2019.
2019.
So, okay. So here we are 5 years later, and share with us now, like how all of this experience has kind of shaped you into who you are and how you show up for our industry and for the agency you get to work with and for the clients that you serve.
I actually had to sit on this for a little bit and kind of contemplate because home warranty is not glamorous, you guys. We're like knocking on your door being like, hey, we need a home warranty. Like we love to give you, the information on why you do. But for me, something that happened during that year was that I get to intersect after the close. I am someone that the agent is going to call sometimes mad because something has happened in the house when there's a lot of emotion. And I will tell you, it brings me back right to after Adam passed away to things that would happen in the house when I would have to kind of like pull my bootstraps on and like figure out what I'm going to do next. And so what I've actually found is that there are a lot of people maybe who are elderly. There's many women that I've met in the same scenario that are processing grief and don't know what to do in the house, and the home warranty is actually there going to save them in some scenario, because that was not my role. That was not my role at the house. So to kind of bring it full circle again, I still live in our house. Like I didn't move. I didn't get out of that pain. I knew that it was a wonderful house. There's lots of equity in it, but also it's just kind of a reminder that like things in life happen. And when I get to help those kind of scenarios, there's just that extra feeling of like, we are doing good. There are good things that we do. We're saving them money. We're getting them appointments. These people, whomever they are in that scenario, they're kind of blinded by that pain that's in there. And I get to step in and make it easier for them. The money that we save them could be something that their spouse left. It's just a lot of things that like people don't think about, right? We as in home warranty, we are kind of like the last thing, and they just got one. They just got that. They needed to get that. And we get the phone calls that are like, they've gone through this process and it's been kind of hard and I don't know who else to call. Can you help me? That desperation is there. So saving people money, making sure that people know that a home warranty actually does good. We're not a scam. There are lots of things that are excluded, and yes, that happens, but it's the same way in insurance. Like it's just part of that scenario. But I would encourage you, if you have someone or if you don't, I would really like to go over those details with you because we save a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah. What I want to open this up. I want to have a little bit more of a dialogue for everybody that's listening. And what do you guys, what do you want to ask Britain about just kind of her story, her journey, or just anything right now from anything that you heard?
That's not really a question, but man, what an amazing choice for you. Like, I might get teary for you to choose the path that you did to be there for your kids and to be strong for them and set an example for them. And that's amazing. And I think that's just so incredible. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. So it kind of broke up for me, but what did I do as a mom to sort of support them and me? Was that the question?
It was just not really a question, but just thank you for choosing that for your kids, and how amazing and incredible for you to choose what you did. Because like Matt said, so many people could have been like, nah, I'm done. And you saw the bigger long-term vision. And I have 4 kids, and I have not been through things like that. And man, I think you're incredible, and what an amazing choice that you made.
Thank you. I wrote this in some of my notes, but there are periods of like grief and loneliness and, trying to find those areas where you can get that fulfilling interaction with other people. And if you have single moms in your life, I know people are like, oh, single moms can make it happen, and they do a lot of things, but this saying has been one that I have leaned into a lot, and it is just because um just because they carry it doesn't mean it's not heavy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those sayings that like, you can look so strong. She has an amazing smile. I get up every day and I have so much to be thankful for, but it still doesn't mean that experience or that grief or the things that we're walking through aren't challenging. And so that really encouraged me. Thank you for saying that to me. And we talked about struggle, and I told Matt yesterday, like, we get on the struggle bus and it feels like I'm on it. I've been on it. I kind of stay on it. I get to take stops and I get back on it. And so like my son has a bone, it's a benign bone condition. But I went through lots of struggle getting his medicine approved. I called the governor. And then, it's just kind of one of those things that we are never going to be without things that happen to us. We're going to get a phone call. We're going to have something that we face that's really challenging. You're going to lose people you love. And like, there is that James Bible verse that's like, count it joy, my brethren, that when you face trials of many ways, that you become more perfect and complete. And I was like, I'm good. I don't want to be perfect and complete. I just want to get through this. And ultimately, those trials have made me strong. They do make me and have the ability to share this story, even though, like I said, like a lot has happened. But Matt told me yesterday, which also was encouragement, it can be the path to someone else's healing. And so I hope in this that you just have to remember to keep going, keep running that race, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like that's all that I could do sometimes, is just get up and take a shower and then do the next thing. And now I can do more. Now I get to work and, meet amazing people and talk to them and hear their stories and how I can help them.
You just reminded me of something that, we talk about in coaching, and it's difficult to like articulate or even kind of internalize as well. And when we talk about setting goals and really kind of pushing to maximize or optimize your potential, one of the most dangerous things that we all experience is complacency and just being comfortable. And everyone is like, I'm good. Like I have enough. All my bills are covered. My bills are paid. I'm relatively debt free. We're good. Why do I want to push? And I don't wish this on anybody, but all of us are one call away from a completely different life. We are one diagnosis away. Our kids, like, we just don't know. And the worst place you can be is okay, because once the world comes at you, you're no longer okay. And it would be much easier, much better to be self-insured, to be able to not worry about copays, to be able to not have to worry about deductibles. Like, so I really thank you for sharing your story. There's a part of me that like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But another part of me is like grateful that you're able to share what you've done on the other side. One of the things you mentioned earlier is especially through that period where all of those things happened to you in the year, you understood or realized or discovered, maybe you can share a little bit more, that like pouring into yourself or moving your body helped you change your state or allowed you to get out of that mental spiral that we can fall into. Is that something that you had innately known, something you discovered? And then you shared with me that like now it's a big part of your life, right? Like fitness and moving your body. It's share a little bit more
And
about that. How did you discover it? Was it something you always
yeah.
learned or knew, or is it something that you like? Tell us more.
Well, I think probably the women on here know that like we're gonna go to the gym in college, we're gonna go do our elliptical, we're gonna like, you know, move our bodies. And so like I had this basic foundation of like working out feels good. You can see results from doing those things. But as I got older, it was actually always about the mental health. Like, I just feel so much better when I go for a walk. I just feel so much better when I stretch or when I do this. And I've done all the things. I've done, you know, classes, I've done Tai Chi, I've done Taekwondo, I mean, hot yoga, like you pick it, I've done it. And I think that actually what the pivotal moment was is when I was attacked and I had to go through the healing there. I wanted to run and I would run and I would have flashbacks and I would literally pound pavement until it was done, until I didn't have flashbacks anymore. And after that, because, you know, your knees are, you know, you're getting old. I've always loved to dance too. And I am I'm a Shine Dance Fitness instructor. The brand is Shine Dance Fitness. But I have learned that dancing is really good for our brains. It challenges us and it's fun. So along the path, like I have done many things in moving my body. I will tell you, I had some, I'm missing the word here, but I've never been a thin girl. I've always been very curvaceous. And when I was attacked, I was very much confirmed that like your body type is okay. And it probably saved me in a lot of ways. And so just all of those things, like moving your body and being able to get around in the world is much more important than what you look like. And so I would just like to encourage women, men, all the people that maybe struggle with that you just never know. And it's not that important. Like it's important for you to be strong and healthy and be there and show up for yourself and for others. But that moving your body part, I do think that it helps us get through things. And there's a big quote about just taking walks, right? Like we walk in the woods, we're able to heal. And I really leaned into that during a lot of the times. I would take my kids on hikes and things. So even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's just, I need to go for a walk, I need to go outside. It's a basic thing that we can do every day that really helps us mentally and physically.
That's so awesome. I know that we're kind of coming up on time. I want to make sure everybody has a way to connect with you. Can you go ahead and put your contact info in the chat? And then and also like we'll put it on the post as well for those to be able to get with you. Anyone have any other final questions, thoughts, etc.? And then so again, I want to thank you for coming. I want to make sure everyone knows, number one, what areas you serve, and if anyone would like more information on how you can add another allied partner to your network, definitely get with Britain and find out how Choice Home Warranty can help. Any other thoughts,
Yes,
questions?
thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
So I cover, yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a side note, I cover Western Missouri from Columbia to the Kansas state line, all of Oklahoma, parts of Southern Illinois, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. So most of it is virtual, but I do come to Kansas City. If you want to have coffee, let me know. But I didn't mean to interrupt, Matt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, this is your call. I'm just here. I'm just a tour guide. Anyone have anything else to say, share, or ask?
Well, I think first of all, thank you so much for coming. That was an extremely touching, powerful story. I think a couple of us girls were on here just messaging each other like, I'm crying. This is so good. Like it's just, it was very touching, very powerful. And Matt's got to pre-warn us next time not to wear mascara. But
nope.
I'm just curious. I know you said like you really lean into the physical movement as part of your getting through the day. Do you have any other things that you do kind of as a standard almost routine or ritual to just get your day started off on the right foot, to make sure that you keep your mind set where it needs to be and not get pulled back into, some of those negative emotions?
So that is a really good question. In the last year, I did read My Miracle Morning, very touching, very empowering. And I do think that having that time away from our phones is really important. So that's not moving your body, but that's a big deal. And I am actually not a girl that schedules my workout, and I go by feelings. So a lot of people are like, I have my quiet time, I have my coffee, and then I go work out. And girl, I just get it in. So I don't have that schedule. I wish I was a little more scheduled when it came to that, but I do think that like not being on your phone right away, doing something that fills your bucket. So if you're a coffee drinker and just kind of sitting for a minute, I do think that that gives you the restoration, brings that cortisol down. And I think that that's probably most important for me. So I hope that answers your question, but just do it anytime. Just do it anytime you can do it.
Love it.
30 seconds.
Britain, thank you for sharing your story. And I just love the message of resilience. So, and the strength.
Thank you. It means the world to me. And again, I hope that it was entertaining, because like talking like this on Zoom can sometimes feel really daunting. And I love that your faces are there. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being on camera. And thanks.
It's because we've got a pretty elite group here.
My face isn't there.
They are frozen.
But I was driving, in my defense. And then my only question was, have you written a book yet?
Oh man. So you're on it. I just got chills. I do want to write a book, and I write often. I didn't even kind of get in that, but journaling is always important. I needed to write kind of the story down and all the things that kind of happen. It is a goal. It is not an immediate goal because I'm still busy raising my kids, but it is there, and I'm never too old, right? Like
well,
I'm never.
We'll see about that. I've got somebody that you need to meet.
Perfect. Again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening.
I'm just yes. I mean, this is so refreshing and valuable and wonderful. It reminds me of one of my favorite sayings is simply this: in a world where you can choose to be anything, choose kindness, because you just don't know the silent struggles that somebody's dealing with. And like, and then the last quote is that, you know, how do you know if somebody needs encouragement? They're breathing.
100%, 100%, you guys. Yes. I think that lifting each other up, that's my word of the year, is elevate. That's my word for 2025. If we can do that and lift those voices that don't get heard often, we are going to get so much wisdom. And that is the only prayer that God answers every time. So if you're a believer, it is the only prayer that we get. So wisdom can carry us through many things.
The last challenge I'm going to throw out to everybody that's on this call is, do not let this week or weekend go by where you appreciate something in silence. Speak up and tell someone that they made your day. Tell someone you love their smile. Tell someone their energy changed your mood. Tell someone how kind they were. Britain, I'm so grateful to have gotten to meet you. I told you already, this is just the beginning of many conversations. Thank you for sharing your story. You made an impact today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again. Have a wonderful Friday. I don't know if you do fun things on the weekend, but the snow's almost gone here.
We're going to be doing one thing this weekend. That's it. Winning.
Winning.
All right, y'all. Have an amazing weekend. We'll see you Monday, same time, same channel. Bring a friend. Bye.